I'm Bob Beckel. I'm proud to be a liberal. I believe that health care is a right, not a privilege.
Hi, I'm Cal Thomas, a conservative who is pro-life. And this is Common Ground. Welcome to Common Ground, a video version of my and Bob Beckel's bi-weekly USA Today column in which we try to figure out just how to bridge Washington's partisan divide. Well, the subject today, Bob, the TARP program, Troubled Asset Relief Program, 1 year later, over $700 billion thrown at the problem, as most Democratic administrations like to do, throw money at it. What happened to the money? I can't find most of it.
You know, I tell you the thing that's amazing to me about you guys are so anti-government, you conservatives, that even when the government steps in and saves us from the great abyss of a depression, which is exactly what happened. Let's remember one thing. This TARP thing started under Republicans. Okay?
Yeah, I was against it then too, by the way.
Okay, well, so you were wrong then and you're wrong now.
No, I was consistent.
That's all right, good. You're consistently wrong. That's exactly the right point. But look, only the government was big enough to step in to do this. These banks, had they gone under, or if AIG had gone under, the world would have been thrown into a depression. What historians will note, I think, when they look back on this time is that TARP and what Obama did to double down and to put taxpayer money behind these banks saved us from a catastrophic depression.
Bob, what it did was save us from ourselves. Failure is a wonderful teacher. I remember when I flunked out of college, my dad said, you know, I've been happy to help you out all these years with tuition and everything else, but now, since you're not serious, you're on your own.
Did you get back in college?
I got back in and I started paying my own way, and my grades went up. What a miracle. You know, I feel like Peter, Paul, and Mary here. Where has all the money gone? Long time passing. Where'd the money go? We can't find it. How is that helping if you can't find where the money went?
Don't leave your day job. And by the way, Mary died, you know. It's
I know that.
Sad. Very sad.
Very sad.
Anyway, let's get back to this thing. You know, it's amazing to me that the Republicans, who were sitting back there now a year afterwards, said, complaining about TARP, where's the money, blah, 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 blah. The same Republicans, by the way, who voted initially against TARP, if you remember back then.
I do.
You and I were on the road together.
That's
remember
right,
back
exactly.
then? And the market fell, the biggest fall in one day, because the Republicans were terribly irresponsible. They came back and passed the same bill 5 days later, and things straightened out. And look where we are today. The Dow is about to get to 10,000. The economic future looks good. We need more jobs, certainly, but I think what's happened here is Obama is going to go down as probably the greatest economic president since Franklin Roosevelt.
Did I give
you something to laugh about?
In your
now, right?
dreams. Look, the president promised, you mentioned unemployment, that if TARP passed, unemployment would not go above 8%. It's 10%. Let's see, 42 states lost more jobs than they gained in the month of August, and 14 states, plus Washington, D.C., reported unemployment levels of 10% or more. How's that working out for you?
Well, listen, let me try to educate you, which is, you know, it's getting to be a long, hard process, but I will explain something to you. TARP was not what we're talking about here. It was the stimulus bill, the 800.
Still throwing money at a problem.
The fact of the matter was they did make a projection that wouldn't go over 10%. It is not yet over 10%. I'll point that out. They had not the best estimates, that's true, but there wasn't an economist in the country who thought that unemployment was going to be this bad. The stimulus bill, only a part of it is out there now being spent. Most of it's going to be spent in the next 12 months. Let's give it a chance. I think people will go back to work. It's already rebuilding roads. Look, it took me an hour and a half to drive over this joint because the roads were so backed up with the stimulus money.
You know what bothers me, though, Bob, is, and I agree with you, when Democrats were criticizing President Bush about a deficit, a debt of $450 billion. They were complaining about, look at the price our children and grandchildren are going to have to pay. Now we're talking trillions, 8, 10, 12 trillion dollars, endless amounts of money. So if 450 billion was terrible for our children and grandchildren, what's 10 and 12 trillion?
Well, look, what would have been the cost to our grandchildren if we had gone into a depression? Everything had been wiped out. But look, let's take a look at this thing. At times of crisis, the government is really the only big enough institution to deal with it. Now, it happened after 9/11, and I think what happened after 9/11, I think we dealt with it pretty well, except we rushed into the Patriot Act, which I think, and many liberals, myself included, think went way too far in taking away our civil liberties. Now, you guys are complaining that we went way too far, that Obama went way too far in reacting to this depression. So maybe it is that you'll never agree the government's worth anything, and I will always say nothing's big enough to save us but government.
No, it's not either or. I think government has its place. It's outlined in the Constitution. I think government is great for what it does. Government is not good when it replaces the power of the people to make their own decisions. That's why the Tea Parties have come about. And the reason that they call them Tea Parties is because just like the British in Boston in the 18th century, people are fed up by overbearing, overspending, overtaxing government. This is a country about liberty. It's not about government control of our lives. You mentioned the Patriot Act. That's just one example if you want to talk about government control and overreacting. I'm talking about too much spending.
Okay, have you been to any of those tea parties, by the way?
No, I haven't.
I have.
I make my own
That
tea.
may be one of the scariest groups of people I've ever seen brought
It's
together.
democracy in action,
Well,
Bob.
democracy in action. It's a very small fringe element of
I
America.
did go to the anti-war demonstrations, though, and they were pretty scary,
well,
too.
I was there, too.
Were
I'm
you?
surprised we didn't run across each other. You were probably the one who was
I was the
giving
reporter.
Me I got you.
You were smoking dope, and I was just
that
inhaling.
was probably absolutely true. Look, let's agree to disagree on this, but I think that what you're going to find out in the end when you look back is the government intervened at the right time. Maybe they did too much, but at least they intervened. Nobody else was in a position to do that. So that's about the only common ground we'll get out of this, all right?
Okay, I can do another song, though.
All right, no, don't sing, please.
Right.
Look, check out our column in the paper on USA Today's opinion blog at usatoday.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back again for the next installment of Common Ground.